guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luz and today I have another drugstore foundation review for you guys, and I am talking about CoverGirl's newest foundation, the CoverGirl Trublend Matte Made Foundation. It is a comfort matte and transfer resistant. I picked up 3 shades to swatch against my skin and try to find my closest match. These are the 3 that I found at the drugstore that I could choose from, and I figured one of these has to match. There are 40 shades available, however, they're not all available at Walgreens, which is where I picked these up, which is a big thumbs up for CoverGirl for stepping their game up and trying to have a color match for every single color of the rainbow out there. Every girl or boy should be able to find their closest match with this CoverGirl foundation. We still got to go ahead and try these colors on my skin to see what best suits me. So this is what the packaging looks like. It is a glass bottle with a pump. Hey, it does have a pump and it comes with 1 fluid ounce. As with most standard foundations, they do come with a 1 fluid ounce. Let me read to you the claims. These claims to be a comfort matte finish, oil-free formula, pump applicator included. Thank you. So the website states that it is a matte formula that isn't drying or cakey. It is developed with FlexiHold technology that creates a strong yet flexible film on skin for durability and comfort, while mattifying powders absorb oil and minimizes pores for a soft, matte, flawless finish. Up to 12 hours of wear, and it's available in 40 shades. Something that I did see right off the bat that I thought was pretty cool and pretty interesting is that it's labeled on the top with either an L, an M, a T, or a D. So standing for L for light, M for medium, T for tan, and D for deep. Pretty cool because you can kind of categorize yourself in either one of those categories, and it should be easier to find your match. For me, however, it is a little bit difficult because sometimes I stand on the medium side and sometimes I stand on the tan side. So I picked up medium 40, which is M40, and this is warm nude. I also got T10, which is tan 10, and this is golden amber. And the last one I picked up is T30 or tan 30, and this is warm honey. So I am so excited to try these on. I'm going to begin by swatching them on my chest. I'm going to start off with the lightest one being M40. Oh, it's a little bit thicker than I thought it would be. So this is M40. It's not super liquidy, but it is quite creamy. It feels really creamy and smooth. So I'm going to swatch this one here. That's M40. And I'm going to swatch it right here. Okay. I think it's still a little bit too light for me. Medium 40. Let's go up to tan 10. So T10, you see how it stays put? It's not runny at all. So it is quite creamy. It's not moussey though. It's more like a creamy formula. That's that. Let's swatch it right. Ooh, it looks like this one here oxidized a little bit, didn't it? Okay, this one's definitely more warm. That's T10. This one's a pretty close match. That's T10. We can't even really see it on here, but on the chest it doesn't really blend right in. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, and the last one is T30. Here's what it looks like in the back of my hand. I think we got a winner. So that's T30. I think that's my closest one. Let's swatch it right against here. Okay, so here we got M40, T10, and T30, and then on the chest we got M40, T10, and T30. Based on these 3 swatches, I'm gonna go with T30. I'm gonna prime my skin using the NYX Angel Veil Primer, a tried and true favorite. And I'm gonna start off with the left side, and we're gonna use the sponge on the left. I'm gonna do 1 full pump. I'm gonna dot it all over. And the sponge I'm using is from Flower. I've never used this sponge. It's the first time trying it. But it's really, really soft. Okay. I'm getting good coverage, guys. I don't know if the sponge soaked it all up. But when I first started pouncing it, I feel like I had a lot more coverage, but now I don't feel that way. You can still see my spots here. So let's go in with the second coat. I'm gonna do another sponge. I'm gonna do another pump. And this time, I'm gonna grab with the sponge, I'm gonna grab it and apply it this way. It does have a scent, but it's very minimal, and it's like kind of like the Wet n Wild foundation, like a kind of like a paint scent, but not as strong. No, it's very faint smell. It's a very faint. So it does layer quite nicely. It didn't 100% cover this spot here, but I feel like it did a good job at covering all the other ones. This one is more of a red tone spot, so maybe that's why it didn't do a good job at covering it. So here is with foundation and no foundation. See how I have all these spots here? I did have them on that other side as well, and it did a pretty good job at covering them, except for this baby right here does not want to go away. But let's ignore him and maybe he'll go away in a little bit. But did it claim to be full coverage? No, it didn't. It's a foundation comfort matte, transfer resistant. We gotta test that. Oil-free formula, pump applicator included. It doesn't claim to be full coverage. It's about medium, maybe full. We're gonna try to do another coat towards the end after I do the other side and see how that does, but I'm not mad at it. Let's do the other side with the brush now, and I'm gonna use my e.l.f. powder brush. It says powder, but I like to use it for foundation. I've had this brush for years and years. I use it for powder or for foundation. It doesn't really matter to me. It does a really good job at applying, and it's only like $3. So here's one pump, and I'm gonna do the same as the other side. I'm gonna dot it throughout first, and then the second time we'll go in directly. Now we're gonna blend. Okay, here is one coat, and that's about a light coverage, even with the brush, but it did even it out. Yeah, light coverage. Let's do another coat and do another pump. And this time I'm gonna pick it up with the brush. Oh yeah, baby. Building up nicely. That is the foundation coverage with 2 pumps. Not liking the way it's settling into my chin. It's kind of emphasizing my pores around that area. I definitely like the sponge a little bit more, and it's coming off on the nose with the brush. Like once I go over it again, it's removing the foundation. So let me do one whole pump for the whole rest of the face. I'm gonna do it with the sponge and see if I can get it to look even, especially around the nose and the chin. Try to push this in so it can smooth over the pores. There's these little tiny like particles right there. It's like dust almost. Okay, so here is about 2.5 pumps per side of the foundation. I think it is a medium to full coverage, very buildable, and the color match looks to be pretty good for my skin. I am an NC42 in MAC foundations, And this one comes to a pretty close match as far as the ones that I could find at the drugstore. I don't think it did anything as far as like smoothing. The finish is pretty matte, but it is like a comfortable matte so far. It doesn't feel heavy, and it's not like super matte. Like you can still see a little bit of luminosity. And for sure, I like the sponge better than the brush to apply this foundation. I feel like the brush kind of dries it out. Maybe if you wet the brush with a little bit of Fix Plus or some sort of spray, or put a little bit of oil, maybe it'll be easier to blend with the brush, but I feel like the brush dries it out quite a bit. So it did say it is transfer proof. How can we test that? I'm gonna grab this tissue paper and just blot it here. No transfer. Let's wait for this side to dry up a little bit. So again, clean. No transfer, guys. Let's see if it transfers later on. I am gonna put powder on top, so I don't know if what transfer might be powder. I'm not sure, but we're gonna do the transfer test later on today and see how long does the transfer test actually hold true to. It's not really oxidizing either. All right, so I'm gonna do my concealer and see how that blends in with this foundation. So it is settling into the nose right here, and if I go in there to blend it out, it picks it up. So I have to go back in and apply a little bit more concealer. You see how it's come off? I'm gonna use a brush. Okay, in other places of the skin besides the nose, it's still looking pretty good, and it blended pretty good with the concealer, including the under eye. It's still settling underneath, like in my crack of my nose. And if I go in there to try to blend it, it comes off. And my chin. Everywhere else, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna go in and set it and complete the rest of my face, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. All right, guys, I am back and completed the look. I went for very natural, everyday, no eyeshadow and bold a lip type of look. I did bronze it up quite a bit because why not? And of course, you can't miss the highlight. So my thoughts so far is that it dries really, really fast. So if you want to go back in to blend it out once it's dry, either you go in with the brush or you go in with the sponge, it's going to pick up the product. That's what I found out, especially drying, especially around my nose and my chin. So as you did see in the demo, when I applied it and then I went back in to blend it a little more because it was settling into the crevices of my nose. When I went back in to blend it again and get rid of the settling and cakey looking fiasco, it did pick up the product. So that's something I don't like because it dries so fast, but then it is transfer resistant, and I think that's why it blends so fast. So the complete look, it is quite matte. The color did not oxidize. You like my little bow? The color did not oxidize at all. It looks really good so far. Once I powdered it, it doesn't seem to be settling into my chin or my nose, but I did have to go in with a lot of powder just to avoid that from continuing throughout the day. I do see it settling just a bit right here and right here, and I think that's only because it dries so fast. Is it a comfort matte? Yes, it's matte but not drying. Is it pore minimizing? I don't think it's pore minimizing at all. I actually feel like it accentuates my pores. It definitely accentuates my fine lines, especially around my nose and my chin and my mouth. Oil control, we shall see about that. and transfer resistant. So now that I have the powder on and everything else, I'm gonna do the transfer resistant test, but I'm only gonna do the transfer resistant test on the chin, just because I have the blush and highlight and bronzer on my perimeter of my face. So I'm just gonna do the transfer resistant on the chin. No transfer. So far, I would say a 10 out of 10 is my dream foundation. That is my Nars All Day Natural, or what is it called? It's my Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. So out of 10, I'm going to say, as far as the shades, I would still keep it at 10. I'm not deducting a point because of the shades. There is so many different shades to choose from with many different undertones. So as far as shades, I'm not deducting a point. As far as undertones, I'm not deducting a point because those shades that I did swatch a pink one, I did swatch a neutral one, and I did swatch a very warm shade. So I'm not deducting a point, so we're still keeping it as a 10. As far as the claims, it does say it is pore minimizing. I'm going to deduct a point because it is settling. It's settling in places it shouldn't be settling. And that's why I'm gonna deduct a point. So we have a 9 out of 10 so far, and yeah, we'll keep it as a 9 out of 10 based off of my scale that I have, as you wish. So I'm gonna keep wearing it throughout the rest of the day. We'll see if we deduct any more points or if we're gonna keep it as a 9 out of 10. This is my first check-in, and we did the transfer test, baby. So I'm gonna wear this throughout the rest of my day and come back and check in with you guys later to see how it's doing. I'll see you guys soon. Alright guys, it's time for check-in number 1. I've had this foundation on for about 4 hours and it's looking pretty good. I have not touched up at all, and it has not really oxidized since the first initial check-in. It's still looking pretty good. It's keeping me very matte all throughout the face. I don't see that it's settled into my fine lines any more than the first beginning of it. I can still see my pores that are on my chin, so that's when we took off the points. It's still the same, but it hasn't gotten any worse, which is definitely a plus. And I'm not getting oily. It is getting a little bit more of like a satin finish now that I've had this on. It is getting a little bit dewy, like on the middle of the forehead, especially because I did put my highlight there, and on my nose the oils are seeping through. Right on top right here, you see right there how the oil is seeping through. And then this was the initial little mishap we had, and on this side as well. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. At 4 hours, this foundation claims to be 12-hour wear. I'm not going to wear it for 12 hours. Now that I've had it on for this long, it doesn't feel heavy or cakey. Sometimes around this time, I'm ready to get this foundation off. I'm ready to just say, you know what, I'm done. I don't want it anymore. My face feels oily. I feel like a grease ball, ready to just tear it all off. So far, I don't have that feeling, and it's wearing pretty good. So let's do the transfer resistant test and see if, now that the oils are seeping through, if this will transfer. Okay, so here I have a clean napkin. I'm gonna do a little bit right here. Nope, no transfer. A little bit on this side. Nope, nothing. So we're still keeping it at 9 out of 10. Let's continue wearing it throughout the rest of the day, and I will check back in maybe around 4 hours from now. See you guys soon. All right, it's time for the last check-in, guys, and to be honest, it's getting quite oily around the nose. It was doing so good too, but then keep in mind I've had it on for about 8 hours. It does claim to have 12 hours of wear though, so just the fact that it is getting oily around the nose and the chin, but more particularly the nose. The oils just seep through. I'm gonna knock it down a point. I am being very critical in this foundation just because there's so many other great options in the drugstore as well. I am gonna be giving it a thumbs up, a huge thumbs up, just for the fact that it has so many shades and so many different undertones in this foundation. It does have 40 shades. The price is pretty good as well. Transfer resistant aspect of it is amazing. Let me do a quick little transfer resistant test. So I'm gonna do the chin first, and it did not transfer. Let me try doing the nose. That did transfer. The nose. So once the oil starts seeping through, it is going to transfer. So that is not really good. I'm going to take it off and go to the gym, but I'm going to rate this a 8 out of 10 just for the fact that the oils do seep through and it claims to be a 12-hour wear. I usually don't take off points for the oil seeping through just because it is oily around the nose, but it does claim to have a 12-hour wear. So I'm starting to be just a little bit more critical of foundations. So I'm going to rate this an 8 out of 10. It's still a pretty good foundation. If you don't have oily skin, you should have no problem with it. Although if you have really dry skin, you might have a little bit of trouble, just because I did see that in my dry area, the pore, it just made it very noticeable of the pores and the texture that I have around my dry patches. But other than that, if you're normal skin, you should be good to go. And yeah, for all my oily girls, you do need to blot this, you do need a powder throughout the day. If you don't mind doing that, then go ahead and pick this foundation up, because honey, all those colors are amazing. So that is it for today. If you did like this video, please do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, do not forget to subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please help a girl out. And last but not least, if you do want to keep watching any of my other videos, I'll leave a few here for you to watch. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and stay blessed.